How do you eat clean and stay consistent with it day by day by day? Because it might be hard a lot of times. We start making that shift. We start to eat clean. We start to, it works to a certain extent. You're working 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's all working. And then you slip up, right? You have a cheat day, right? And then it goes backwards from there. And you rationalize, and then the old ego actually comes back, and you just fall back into old patterns, right? And right when you're about to break through and actually sustain that clean eating habit, your old ego pulled you back, your old sense of self, who you think you are, the momentum that you've built your whole life comes back, and that's it. You just go back to the old habits. Well, how do you work against this? How do you actually stay in line with eating clean? Because I struggled with this for a long time when I was, going from eating fast food, processed food every single day, like binge eating at night, from eating a completely clean diet for like the last year now. Like I never eat fast food ever. I only slip up like once every couple months when I'm traveling or something because I just don't have that food available to me. The only time that this actually happens is when you are not aware of the thinking that is going on in your head. Because you got to realize that when you try to make a new habit in your life, and you're trying to eat clean, right? If we're going to talk about eating clean in this case, the moment you build that momentum of, eating clean for maybe a week, 2 weeks, what's going to happen is there's going to be a pull that is trying to take you back into your old habits. Right? Extremely important to be aware of this. Extremely important. If you understand what I'm saying here, you will 100 times increase your chance of sustaining this habit. 100 times. Okay, that's an understatement. I would say way more than that too. I was going to say 10 times, but I would say 100 times more possibility and chance of success if you are aware of the thoughts that are trying to pull you back. Because when you're identified with the ego and you don't realize that your old ego structure is going to try to pull you back to the old habits, if you're not aware of this, you will have a rationalization telling you like, okay, you know what, let's just eat McDonald's today, or let's have a cheat day, or let's just do this, let's do that, like whatever. Or maybe you might have a feeling, you might feel like, oh, I can't take this anymore. I need to go do something, or I need to fill something outside of myself, which in this case is fast food. And as long as you're not aware of these rationalizations and these feelings, and you're unconscious of them, you'll get sucked back in to the old ways. Because a lot of times, I used to think for the longest time, I have to force myself to eat clean. Right? I have to force myself, and I need to use sheer willpower. But then I realized, no, I don't need to force myself. Actually, when I had an urge to, go eat fast food or do something unhealthy, I would simply observe that urge and not identify and take it to be who I am. I would observe that and say, okay, well, that is a pattern that had momentum that was trying to pull me back into my old sense of self because I ate fast food for 10 years straight. So there's momentum built with that, right? And so I observed that and I was like, wait, no, that's just a thought pattern. I don't need to identify with that. I don't have to resist it either. I don't have to use willpower. I simply just observe it and say, okay, well, that is just a thought. So if I think about McDonald's, it's like, oh, I don't need to eat McDonald's. That's just a thought. I don't need to take that seriously. I don't need to believe in the stories of my mind. Okay, and see, this is where it gets really, really practical. Okay, this is when observing the ego and observing your thoughts and having more awareness that you build from meditating and being more mindful, this is where the real power comes. Okay, this is where the real power comes, when you can begin to apply this observation to sustainable habits in your life and begin to change who you are, because it's just a part of who I am now. I observed the old patterns so much and I let them go that I created new patterns where now eating clean is a natural part of my life because I created a new version of myself. But the only way I was able to do that was to observe the old self, right? And if I didn't have the meditation, the awareness to observe those old patterns and let them go, especially like 3 weeks later, especially when when you really, really want to go back, right? You're really going to start to come up with excuses when it's the hardest. And when it's the hardest to sustain that habit, which it will come up, by the way, that's what you have to watch out for. Extremely important. The urge to go back will come up. But how are you gonna handle it? Okay, the best way to handle it is to become aware of it and observe it, right? Ease into that feeling. Allow it to be there. Allow yourself to have that urge, but don't feed into it. And then go take action in the direction that you prefer. All right, and it's extremely important that if you didn't get this yet, to be aware that the old patterns will try to take you back. Okay, don't let them. Not by resisting them, not using willpower, but by observing them and allowing them. Right? You don't need to take these thoughts so seriously, because a lot of these cravings that you have for these fast foods are simply mental patterns, okay? Maybe you have a physical addiction to maybe sugar, right? That's one thing. But then there's a difference between physically craving something and then the mental addictions that we have through the thoughts that we're thinking, these mental cravings, right? I mean, you can actually observe those mental cravings and identify them as mental cravings, not identify with them, but just see them as mental cravings. Like, oh, okay, that's just a mental craving. That's not actually me wanting something. That is a mental craving. You can almost think of it like it's just there, and you don't have to take it so seriously. You don't need to get so sucked into it. But the only way you do this is by having the presence, or being the watcher, or being the witness, or being the consciousness, or whatever word you want to use. Just it's like the seer. You're just watching that voice in your head that is, addicted to whatever it is you're eating. You observe this long enough, you let it go, and then you go take action in the direction that you prefer anyway. And it's going to get easier with time. Sometimes you might really, really want something. That's when you have to stay super present. When you have a strong, desire to go back to the old patterns, that's when you really, really have to stay present. And that's where the most growth happens. The hardest times is when the most growth happens and when you really start to change who you are. When you really start to change that identity. Somebody that just eats clean. You start to let go of the old identity of, okay, I'm the person that eats fast food. No, let go of that. Let go of that identity. Create a new sense of self, of who you think you are. I'm somebody that eats clean. That's it. Stick with that. Don't identify that to be with who you truly are, but you can use patterns in your life to, support yourself rather than bring yourself down. But the only way to do that is to first become aware of the old patterns that will try to suck you back. So once again, extremely important. If you are aware that there will be a pull, because some people don't even realize that there's a pull. They don't realize that there's going to be this old version of themselves trying to suck them back into their old habits. But if you're aware of this, you will increase your chances significantly of being able to maintain any habit, including eating clean foods every single day. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hope this video gave you some value. Hope this video gave you some benefit. If you guys like this kind of content, you like this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell and let me know in the comments below if you enjoy this kind of content or if you have any questions. I can make a video. If you ask a question of some kind, I'd be more than happy to answer a question or anything that you want. If you leave a comment below and just tell me what you think. So hope this video gave you some value, guys. Have yourself a great day and see you guys in the next video.